There's a phrase that defined an entire generation's entry into adulthood: move fast and break things. It wasn't just a tech mantra, it was in the water you swam in. Disrupt everything, optimize relentlessly. If you're not scaling, you're failing. If you're not hustling, you're lazy. And for a while, it worked, or it seemed to work. But here's what no one told the millennial generation: the same developmental stage that demands you build a life is now asking you to evaluate that life. And for many of you, what you're finding is that you moved so fast, you may have broken the wrong things. You broke your nervous system, your sense of rest, your ability to know what you actually want when no one's watching. This is what midlife looks like for millennials, and it's landing differently than it did for any generation before you. Let's be precise about what happened. The millennial generation didn't just experience disruption. You came of age during repeated systemic collapse. September 11th reshaped your understanding of safety and certainty, right as you were forming your adult identities. The 2008 financial crisis hit you as you were entering the workforce, fundamentally altering your relationship with economic stability. 20 years of war normalized a background hum of anxiety and instability as your baseline. From a developmental psychology standpoint, this matters enormously. Erik Erikson's framework shows us that early adulthood is when we're supposed to establish intimacy, commitment, and a coherent sense of purpose. But you were doing this while the ground kept shifting. So you adapted by developing extraordinary flexibility, rapid pivoting, and constant reinvention. These weren't character flaws. These were survival strategies that actually worked in the environment you inherited. But now you're entering what Erikson called generativity versus stagnation, the midlife stage where the question shifts from can I build something to is what I built worth preserving? Am I contributing something meaningful beyond my own survival? And here's the integrity disruption. The skills that got you here, the speed, the hustle, the constant adaptation, don't answer that question. In fact, they might be preventing you from asking it. I started seeing this about 10 to 12 years ago in my practice. Clients were coming in burnt out before they turned 25, not struggling, not stressed, literally burnt out. The kind of exhaustion the rest doesn't fix. And the response at the time was to find all these hacks, life hacks, productivity hacks, sleep hacks, anything to move faster, push harder, expand more. The problem wasn't the pace. It was that you hadn't optimized yet. Except the hacks didn't work because you can't hack your way out of a developmental question. What I witnessed wasn't laziness or poor time management. It was a generation trying to build adult lives under conditions that required constant performance just to maintain basic stability. You weren't choosing the speed was chosen for you. And the cost was accumulating in ways that wouldn't show up until later. Until now. I want to be honest about something that gets glossed over in most midlife content. Previous generations hit midlife with more accumulated resources, more stable career trajectories, more predictable economic conditions. The traditional markers of having your life together were at least accessible, even if not guaranteed. For millennials, the landscape is fundamentally different. You're the first generation in modern history projected to be financially worse off than your parents. Student debt restructured your entire financial timeline. The housing market made home ownership, historically a cornerstone of midlife stability, a distant goal rather than an assumption. Retirement accounts, if they exist at all, look nothing like what was promised. This isn't about work ethic. This is about structural realities that change the equation. So when you arrive at midlife asking, what have I built? You're doing it without many of the stabilizing resources that previous generations could lean on. You're evaluating your life's meaning while still managing basic survival anxiety. That's not a personal failing. That's a developmental stage colliding with unprecedented economic and political conditions. But it doesn't make the questions go away. If anything, it makes them more urgent. If what I'm describing resonates, if you're recognizing your own experience in this, please consider liking the video so other millennials know they're not alone in what they're feeling, that this is structural, not personal. Here's what the integrity work becomes critical. Many of you built your adult lives around external validation because external validation was the only reliable currency in an unreliable system. If everything else could collapse, at least you could control your productivity, your achievements, your Instagram-worthy wins. But midlife doesn't care about your metrics. It asks a different question. What matters to you when no one's measuring? And for a generation that was taught to move fast and optimize everything, that question can feel like standing still for the first time in 20 years. Disorienting, uncomfortable, maybe even terrifying. The integrity disruption shows up in 5 specific ways. Cognitive dissonance. You know you're successful on paper, but it doesn't feel like enough. Chronic exhaustion. Even when you rest, you can't recharge. Self-worth erosion. Your accomplishments feel increasingly hollow. Decision paralysis. You don't trust yourself to know what you actually want. And relational withdrawal. You're going through the motions, but not really present. These aren't signs you're broken. These are signals that the value system you built your life around no longer fits who you're becoming. Viktor Frankl, who survived the Nazi concentration camps, wrote that suffering becomes unbearable not when it's intense, but when it feels meaningless. The millennial midlife crisis isn't about having suffered more than other generations. It's about arriving at midlife after 2 decades of being told that speed and disruption were virtues, only to discover that they don't generate meaning. Meaning requires something different. It requires pause, reflection, the willingness to ask whether the life you built at 25 still serves the person you're becoming at 40. And here's the paradox. The same generation that was taught to move fast now has to learn to stand still long enough to hear your own answers. This isn't about rejecting everything you built. It's about asking which parts were survival adaptations and which parts reflect your actual personal values. Alistair McIntyre talks about narrative coherence, the idea that a meaningful life isn't one without contradictions, but one where you can tell a coherent story about how you got from there to here and where you're going next. For millennials, that coherence often got fractured by repeated disruptions. Midlife is the stage where you get to reconstruct it deliberately. Not by moving faster, not by breaking more things, by asking what deserves to stay, what needs to be released, and what you're actually building toward when the optimization ends. The millennial midlife isn't going to look like your parents' midlife. You don't have the same resources. You didn't have the same stability. The markers of success were redefined before you even arrived. But you have something different, something they didn't. 20 years of practice adapting to impossible conditions. 20 years of resilience built from navigating collapse. What if the same capacity that helped you survive systemic disruption could help you build something meaningful on the other side? Not by moving fast, not by breaking things, but by standing still long enough to ask what actually matters, and then building from there. That's integrity work. And it starts with knowing the questions are legitimate, even when the answers aren't clear yet. If having conversations about this phase of life, this transition, these questions, provides you with meaning, insight, or even just recognition that you're not navigating this alone, you might want to subscribe. If you're still here, please like the video. It lets others know they're not alone. We're here at least every Sunday and Wednesday, releasing videos at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and sometimes on Friday, creating space for exactly these kinds of conversations.